Again, bleep, bleep, own your apologize, do better.
Yeah.
And if I could sum it up in 3 things, that is, and I've been told in the past, you have no problem apologizing. And I didn't come from an apologizing space, and I think that was generational, and it's no shade to my parents. It was generational, and it was something that I learned to do. And I think if people can practice, it's like a muscle. It's so easy, and it changes the trajectory of your life. I think if you can own your apologize and do better. Well, I have a couple lines of business. One of them is a line of profanity-based signs that has been in the black from the get-go. So that tells you the state of where our world is.
No, wait, say that again? A line of signs?
Based on profanity.
Okay. Like signs of like
signs that go on the wall.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and they're all in whole product line. It's just kind of a way I met Sarah Jane.
So sometimes we need those signs, though.
Well, we do, because my tagline is sort of, putting therapists out of business one sign at a time.
Yeah.
You need to laugh hard because life is tough.
So
you know
what inspired you to create that specific line of business? Because you said you've got multiple, so that one.
I do. Well, I had been in retail. Didn't start out in retail. Didn't know that I didn't want to be in retail. It just sort of evolved. And I just kind of got frustrated with peopling and customering, a little bit. And so that was tough. And I just thought, this stuff is funny. And there's this side of you that you're never wanting to show. Mm-hmm. And which is that unfiltered side, because you feel like when you're a business owner, and you do in certain circumstances, you have to just
show up with a filter.
Show up with a filter, and you have to put on your mask of professionalism. And not to say you can't be professional, but there are those times in that side of us where you just are like bleep 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 bleep. And so if that's me, are there other people who are just as frustrated? Could you do it in a way? Could you share profanity or those little 4-letter words? Could you do that in a way that other people relate to? And so
where there's a need.
Where there's a need,
sign.
There's a sign. Yeah, I mean, one of our better signs is, everybody works out and we get older, and what do you do? And it's be a bad with a good. I mean, so why not champion and cheerlead ourselves and not worry about finding someone else to do it for you? So I think that's all they do, but they're never mean-spirited, and they're always, if you get a belly laugh out of it and you never buy one, who cares?
It was worth it.
It was worth it, and that's job well done.
I love that. What type of people do you see buying these signs, and where are they putting them? Like, do you have an Instagram where it's like, please share with us where these signs are located?
I do have that right now. I just sell to wholesale stores, because also having dabbled in retail for a number of years, I just don't have the bandwidth for that. My day job is an interior designer, so this is just something that, as long as it tickles my toes and makes me laugh, I'm still going to keep doing it, because it has always made money. But I'd love to know. One of my favorite things that has ever happened to me is, it was a gal in her late 70s to early 80s, and she said, I'm going to buy one of these, and our #1 seller, and it's going to be a bleeper, so I'm just going to forewarn you. She said, I'm sending this to my best friend because her kids are putting her in a nursing home. And I thought, oh my gosh, she didn't want to go. It was the right thing. Not here to judge. But the sign said, and again, you might want to bleep it, but as a wise woman said.
Okay, so you're also an interior designer.
I am.
Any other business ventures?
And I am now dabbling and hoping to expand. I have my first Airbnb. I live in an 1883 farmhouse. I'm in Western Maryland, and it is on the property. So that is, I just signed a gal to help me with PR. So hopefully I'll start working on the big house, because there's a it'll probably be more of an event space, but morph
That's
it.
so fun.
Yeah.
Like,
and
so fun.
because then I have a large farmhouse to go with it. So
Did you just buy this space recently?
no,
Okay, so you've had it for a while.
I've had it for a while. It had been my primary residence, but all along there had been this goal of how do you create an income stream out of this while now, reducing. You get a little older and you want to reduce your footprint a little bit, and maybe some of the things that you spend. What is it? I've heard you spend half your life gathering possessions and the other half of your life getting rid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where you're at, is like,
Yeah, and then sort of being able to add to that, and then buy a property in all the places that I would like to stay, rent it, and because I do focus a lot on now commercial design and short-term vacation rental design.
so your properties are going to look really good.
Yeah, I do a lot of. I have a lot of. I'm not afraid of a neon sign. I'm not afraid of a lot of color. It's not. I'm not trying to replicate a, hotel room. You can't. I don't think you can survive in short-term rental and do that anymore. There are actually more short-term rentals than there are hotel rooms.
So how are you going to approach this then, in terms of, like, you said it's hard to survive just looking like a hotel room.
Yeah.
Like, what's your vision for this?
My vision
space?
is looking at your space, looking at your surroundings, and create what I have a marketing degree, and then I went back to school after my kids were grown and went back for interior design, back to school. Create a marketing avatar, so which is who is your customer? Who is going to rent your space? What do they look like? What do they want? And then create an experience that would speak to them. This space it's an old summer kitchen turned cottage, so it's a little funky. It's a little still has a historic nod. There are a lot of historic pieces, but creating this space where they feel enveloped by what that building could offer, or what are those people looking for, whether it be nature because of the location of the space. And then just like get out of the box and swing from the chandeliers a little bit.
Yeah.
And like, oh, why shouldn't we have a plaid wall? Well, we should. And I love peel and stick wallpaper. It is the biggest trend.
What is it called?
Peel and stick wallpaper.
Okay.
Wallpaper for a long time was fantastic, and then it lost favor because you can spend $1,000 to put it up, and I know from customers, and then spend $3,000 taking it down by the time you fix the wallboard and if it wasn't put up properly. So this whole trend, there's so many vendors out and on the web that you can find these fabulous, crazy, maximalism is huge, big and bold patterns for wallpaper, and then you just, it's like contact paper.
Yeah.
That's
I love that, because even in our space, we try to keep switching it up for, like,
Yeah.
backgrounds,
Yeah.
It needs to be easy to put up and then easy to take down.
and easy to take down, and you pay a little bit more money, but what you get is high impact for really low effort, low dollar when you consider the pow and the bang that it offers.
Exactly.
And then don't be afraid to mix styles. Don't feel like you have to match everything to particular style. Keep people guessing. And so if I can continue to do all that, create sort of a, when my photographer came in, she's like, there's so many Easter eggs in here. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, all the way down from a turntable that's, turquoise, because the name of the cottage is the Robin's Nest, just like my interior design business.
What's it called?
The Robin's Nest.
Robin's Nest. Okay.
So it gives you this like, this theme, brand it, treat it like a product.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, it's a clean room.
Yeah.
Treat it like a product.
That's your marketing degree background?
Yeah, it is, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I did that for many years, and then, we moved to Northern Virginia from the Midwest, and it kind of was sort of forced to stay home. I mean, it was just like I'd be working for childcare, and why would I want someone to raise my kids? And then, as they start to go to school, you're like, oh God, who do I want to be when I grow up? What do I want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about you. Who are you as a human?
Who am I as a human? Well, interesting that you say that. I recently am divorced after 30 years, and I felt like some of that the joie de vivre, the firecracker got lost a little bit because I prided myself on being everybody's cheerleaders. I have pom-poms, we'll shake them. And love it. Yeah, I don't know about the short skirt, but, anyway, I don't know. There you go. It's a new me. But what I can say is you can be a little overzealous in doing that. And then when you deal with 3 kids and a spouse, now ex-spouse, I can say that traveled the globe, you just get lost in the minutia of life and you are just showing up. And oftentimes I'll find as women, we forget to show up for ourselves. And it's not a pity story. It's just I chose to do it. I had my kids are freaking fantastic. I mean, I didn't raise, pardon my French, I didn't raise. That was my goal. I wanted to put good human beings.
Huge accomplishment, by the way. Huge accomplishment.
And they're grown, and they're like they rock my world.
Yeah.
I have mom dates, and you can tell them. And unfortunately, now that they're all of drinking age, my mom dates are really flippin' expensive. Yeah. They are freaking expensive. But, because they were also raised to be foodies, and they don't drink, they don't drink well drink,
Yeah.
They drink well. So I dated these kids, and I loved these kids, and it was just like, who are you?
Yeah.
I got lost. And as you start to realize, I had a little moment, and it's been some years, but it was just sort of like, if this is my life, I don't know if this is what I would have signed up. Well, I didn't sign up for this. Don't quite know how I get there. So, as you spend some time figuring it out, you're just like, oh my gosh, I am so much more than this. And, I'm kind. I still am a cheerleader, but now I get to be a cheerleader for myself. And, I just want to wake up every day. And, I have a motto. My kids say I live with 100 momisms, and my momism, and I will die trying. And they know the deal, which is, again, bleep, bleep, own your apologize, do better.
Yeah.
And if I could sum it up in 3 things, that is, and I've been told in the past, you have no problem apologizing. And I didn't come from an apologizing space. And I think that was generational, and it's no shade to my parents. It was generational. And it was something that I learned to do. And I think if people can practice, it's like a muscle. It's so easy, and it changes the trajectory of your life. I think if you can apologize and do better.
You said that you're now a cheerleader for yourself. What does that look like?
That looks like every day working on, and God bless therapy. I've had the most amazing therapist in the world, but it was the first homework she gave me was create an affirmation jar. And this is kind of my little sad moment. It's sad, but yet it's a meter on how far I've come. She said, here's your affirmation jar. For 2 weeks, I couldn't put anything in it. I just had sort of somehow had this negative, loop, this tape in my head. And I could sit and tell you all the things that I didn't like from, your forehead's too big, or, I don't think my forehead's too big, but anyway, but anything such as that. And she's like, you have to stop this. If you don't stop this loop in your head. So it took me about 2 weeks. And my 27-year-old son actually gave me my first affirmation. I didn't even think of it myself. And he's like, you show up for the people that you love, always. I was like, huh.
I guess I do.
I did. I'm like, I'm using that. I'm stealing that. But
yeah.
Why is that so hard? We can sit, at least it was hard for me. But I do think it's hard for other women. I do think that we fill up everybody's gas tank, but ours has got rust and holes, and we think of that as being conceited.
Yeah.
We think of that as a negative, and it isn't. And I didn't know that, and I had a therapist that said, yeah, that's absurd. That's crazy. Why? And she made a comment. She said, why can't you give the love, kindness, forgiveness, generosity that you give to other people? Why are you not deserving of that? And that was sort of a little bit of a little mind bleep to be able to say, how about that? And I started to change the narrative in my head. And by the time we were done, and because I'm now on broke girl insurance, as opposed to, now that I'm insuring myself and I have, supporting myself and doing all of that wonderful stuff. As we ended and we had to break up, which was far worse than my divorce, breaking up with my therapist. That was awful. But it was, she's like, I said, can I just tell you, I think I'm a bad. And she's like, oh my gosh, I love that you say that. From a girl who literally couldn't put an affirmation in an affirmation jar for 2 weeks. And that is just knowing that you're imperfect and not that stop the comparison story. And, the idea that I'm trying to compare, I'll be 57 in March. So to try to say that I'm competing with somebody on Instagram or all of the social media and the things that we see, that's oranges and apples.
Yeah.
It makes a fruit salad, but it's not a comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that you've got your bad self
I do.
back.
My bad.
Yes, your bad. How are you translating that in your life? How is it showing up for you?
It is showing up. It's starting to put forth, I believe in manifesting stuff.
Do you?
I do.
Upstairs, you were all about the manifestation.
I am manifest that shit. I believe it. And I am for rent. I mean, if you give me a sob story, I'll do it for free. I believe in it now. And surrounding yourself with people who are sometimes where you want to be.
Yeah.
Whereas before we might feel intimidated, like, just get in the room and whatever that looks like. And so starting to not lose friends, but
I was going to say, have you let go of certain
active
circles?
friends, change your friend groups. And then, my grandmother's nickname for me was Little Mary Sunshine. I'm a glass half full kind of girl. Somewhere along the line, I just stopped filling my glass. So now my glass is just overflowing because I choose for it to be overflowing. And I think we do get to choose that. I think we get to choose happy every day. Not our circumstances, but we do get to choose our reaction and our responses. And, if we can sort of grasp that, and then manifest and say, here's where I want to be. Now I'm going to start acting like I'm here. And it's not so much, and stop worrying about the imposter syndrome and say, okay, do a little research. Find a role model, whether it is on social media or it is a person that you know, and just watch them. How do they react? How do they react in an embarrassing situation or in a failure? Because I don't think failures, we get a ding every time we fail. And that's kind of, it's a learning experience. I feel all the time.
You either win or you learn.
I love that. I'm going to steal it. You win or you learn. So, it does change when you change your viewpoint. When you say, I'm just going to show up. I'm going to try to be better. If I screwed up, I'm going to learn. And so how can it not start to create an evolution in, who you are in your being and who you surround yourself with?
Yeah, I think that's huge because I've had the question before where someone's like, well, how do you become so confident? And it's like, I couldn't answer the question, but the more I thought about it, I think it's who I surrounded myself with. And these weren't real people. These were the books, the podcasts,
yes,
the YouTube stuff.
Yes.
Like that's who I
That is your
learned from.
circle.
Yeah.
But we forget that because we're bombarded in this day and age. And the one thing, too, that, again, God bless my little therapist. She was amazing. I did not realize that I didn't internalize my space, think of your life as a bullseye and concentric circles. And that's how I think of it. And that's that inner secret circle. It is invitation only, baby.
Yeah.
It is invitation only. And I was raised that if you had nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Well, I don't subscribe to that anymore. I think you can say, I don't. I think you can say it kindly,
Yeah.
but I am decisive and I am firm and I will tell you, and my motto, and here's how I say it kindly, that just doesn't serve me.
Yeah, I really actually appreciate that because I, for the past 5 years, have kind of leaned more that way. But I'm kind of known as somebody who's really nice and kind and empathetic.
Oh,
And I want to
so-
keep that. Like, I want to deliver it in an empathetic way, but I also need the message to be received. So I'll figure out how to say it so the message will be received and not
Okay.
like, you know, what a bee. But sometimes you just kind of have to, like, say it and not worry about whether or not you said it nice enough for them to comprehend.
So I'm going to ask you a question. So do you think you can achieve that and still have that nice part? Because can you be kind?
No,
See,
no.
because
Yeah.
I would push. I don't think you can do that, and
Yeah.
I think I'm okay with that. I
Yeah,
think
I am
that
too.
you know the intention is I want to be kind, but I get to protect. Again, I get to protect my peace because I didn't invite you in.
Yeah.
And you don't have to invite me in, and that doesn't hurt my feelings. And it used to bother me. I just wanted to be in the cool, mommy's gonna have coffee and run in their yoga pants after the bus stop mommies and the preschool mommies. And I grew up because that's, in my generation, that was, you know, not that I'm like old as dirt, but, you know, you get up in the morning, you feel a little old. And then you kept moving and get on your Peloton, and then life is good. But you're supposed to be part of all these groups, and you're supposed to be loved and liked, but no one ever tells you why you're supposed to be loved and liked,
Or by whom.
or by whom.
Yeah.
So
I do agree with you. I think, I was telling Sarah upstairs about, I cut off all my hair, like towards like 2 inch, like
yes,
no hair, right?
yes,
And I think that was me changing my identity so I could, like now reflecting back on it, because it was right before I got a divorce, it was me saying like, all right, nice girl time is done.
yeah.
Now-
Embracing your back. You
now
are
I'm
embracing
gonna
your
like
back.
do what serves
Yeah.
my family, myself, my business, my people, instead of trying to serve everybody.
Yeah. And you're never going to serve them. That's the part that no one tells you. You know, they can say, well, you won't make everybody happy, but you can try.
Yeah.
You know, no.
You're like, don't even try.
No, the people who are in your circle, and even that circle that extends beyond your intimate circle, okay, those are the people you need to worry about.
Yeah.
And all the other people, you want to be kind. You know, some of the things that I just am, because I have a real theory about women as well.
I'd love to hear that theory.
Oh, you want to hear my
I would.
theory?
I love it.
love this is you know my life in business, and a lot of it has been with women. So I believe there are only two types of women, just two, and they're lovers or haters. That's it. And so lovers are the people who I only want to hang out with, have pom poms, don't believe in a zero sum game. If you succeed, then that means I failed. And there are a lot of women like that because, and it isn't a women thing, it's kind of how we're taught. We're taught to, you know, fight against each other, feel threatened if someone else succeeds. And because we've not really been taught our worth as people, whereas I think, and I'm not slamming men, but I feel like they are getting a different narrative growing up.
Yeah.
And so women, but we kind of sometimes, we're either raised to be like this, or we can come into our own and feel this way where we, you know, we just want to see other people thrive because what it does, number one, it makes you feel good when you can champion or cheerlead somebody, but it also then empowers you to think, well, I can do that too.
There's more. Yeah.
There's more out there. I can do this. There's not a finite amount of success or happiness or love. People who, you know, get married and everyone feels jealous, and then that goes to that hater side. Lovers are haters. And there's just no way that you're ever going to truly feel happy for somebody. Now you're going to say it, and we can pretend to be lovers, but if you are not, you know your heart, and if you're not in that space, and if you're a bystander, you can look and you'll see it happen.
You know, and it's funny because I didn't even believe that was a thing, that like women didn't like each other just because they were women, until I became a business owner and saw it in action
In
from these
action.
women support groups too.
Yes.
These ones that are supposed to be out championing other women, but then I would see the actions behind the words. And I'm
Forget
like,
the words.
Hold up, wait a second, this isn't sitting right. And so I've personally just distanced myself and said I'm not participating in that game.
Yeah.
And just kept myself surrounded by the
Yeah.
lovers in your definition. Yeah, that's right.
And I got metallic ones. Just
Yeah.
shake them, baby, shake them.
Yeah, that way I don't have to
You can't.
deal with it because I don't do well with stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and I just, I don't think you're going to thrive and succeed and be the best version of you
Yeah,
in a space where there are actively haters.
yeah.
Because I have of my 3 kids, I call them Birdie 1, 2, and 3 because I'm Robin.
Yeah.
Even though they're grown. Number 2 is he's got serious emotional intelligence. He's just, it's interesting to speak to him,
Can't
especially.
teach that either.
You can't, and he's
Yeah.
27. So and by the way, he has a girlfriend, but he's cute and he's a catch. That's what I say when you're dating.
Do you tell her?
Well, she knows.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love her too. So it's perfect. They are dynamite together. But it is just for him to say, Mom, I've watched you, and I had a period of. I had a friend group when he was in high school, and it just became very toxic. And he said, you kind of have a scorched earth approach. I can, and it wasn't ugly. I just, beyond a distance, I just cut it off. I just am like, no, thank you. I don't want to, I'm not going to go to coffee or whatever. And it just has to be done.
Yeah.
Because it's like putting diesel in in a regular unleaded car. It's just going to break down very quickly.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
It's funny you did that. I actually got kicked out of a very big local Facebook group because that's my approach. Is I had a very close friend, and when I saw how toxic she was,
Yeah.
I just had to completely, and I kind of gave that heads up. I did give the heads up to say like, hey, I have to remove myself from this relationship. I'm physically getting sick.
Yeah.
I have to focus on me, my family, my business. And then she was friends with the admin, and they just kind of, like, it did affect my business a little bit.
Yeah.
Because no longer was I able to share anything about, like, stuff that I'm doing here, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was like, I won't change it. I won't change that approach
Yeah.
because otherwise you're negotiating on your values and what
I
you're
love
going to
that.
tolerate and what you're going to put up with.
Yeah. Yeah. And why? Because we wouldn't expect anybody else to do that.
Correct.
You
Yeah.
know?
If I was talking to a girlfriend, I would say the same thing. Cut it off, just
Yeah.
cut it off and move forward, whether it's a female friend or a guy friend or relationship.
Yeah. And why is it that we get a ding for that?
Yeah.
For
That's definitely a
protecting
ding.
our peace. And I think we, especially as women, we're supposed to be nurturers.
We're nurturers.
And can you nurture good and healthy relationships? I still believe that I'm a nurturer, but I don't nurture everything anymore.
Yeah.
I will cut bait in a minute.
Well, because what are you nurturing? At that point, if it's toxic,
Yeah.
what are you nurturing then?
Yeah. Nothing. You were nurturing, a swamp, a cesspool.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to say all my momisms because everyone has profanity as a curse word in it. But, but you are gonna wade through soup.
You got a little book in you. You got to like.
I think I
You
do.
gotta-
I do, and right now because I'm recently divorced, and I went on vacation with my best girls, and we went to the Bahamas. There were some rum shots and maybe a nude beach because this is my year of yes. So
Yeah.
I've just decided, I'm going to do these things that frighten me. I went to Palm Springs by myself, went on vacation by myself, and. So I've decided I'm going to write a book, and it's going to be the divorce tour.
I love that. So
This is
you're already a step ahead there.
I am going to write this book. I had Chat GPT do the outline
There we
already.
go. You got to use technology to help a sister out.
Yeah, but I think, what? All these things that, and having just gone through a divorce, and I want good and wonderful things for him. I want him to be a great dad or whatever. This is better for everybody.
Yeah.
But I felt bad, and I felt bad to say I'm incredibly happy because I'm not. Society says I'm not supposed to be, and I think two people in our adult children will flourish because of this. I think we just grew this way, and so let's just not feel bad about that. Let's just champion lives. They're gonna be better for it, But I can't, tamp down the euphoria and the joy, that I have. And mine could be, I was married for almost and together with someone for 30 years. I miss my hot girl years.
I don't know about that.
I might be in my hot girl years.
I think you're coming into your true hot girl years.
I might. So, but maybe flipping those standards, turn them on their ear a little bit.
So to kind of wrap this up, if you
Yes.
could give one piece of advice to the world, I feel like you have like 100 pieces. What would that be?
It is what I say, because life is hard and life is tough, and we're all going to be, as I started to say, really wading through the soup. We're going to be wading through it, and there's no avoiding that. We can sit and look at other people and say, look how great their lives are. We're all going to be going through something, and you need to just put your waders on and just know that you keep walking. And the only way, it's not around, you have to go through it. And so start to see the shore and then celebrate that. And then as you keep walking, it'll get easier because it'll get closer, and you'll see it might not be where you want it to be and how you want it to end, but it is going to end. And then you get to assess that, because if you stay, it's just going to smell. It's just going to stink. So you have to get to the shore,
I have the visuals of the cesspool that you're like with the...
Yeah, put your waders on. But you can do it. And it's just one step at a time, and stop thinking that baby steps don't matter. And that's where I think we become impatient. And, so if you could tell anyone that it is, you're going to go through the tough stuff now that you have the visual.
Yes.
And just keep looking to the end, because it will end. It will end.
And it might be a nude beach that you're walking
It
towards.
might be with 3 shots of rum. It might could be.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.